What is up, guys? I'm back. I was gone for 4 days, and in today's video we're gonna talk about the Panasonic S1, the photo side of it. I actually went on a shoot with Nike for 4 days and I got to try it out in every scenario possible. So we're gonna get further in depth in the photo side. So let's get started.
I would never ever would have believed them, no reason. Sometimes the truth is hard to see, but now the never ever seem to be over. I saw.
So the first thing I want to mention is on the previous video that I dropped for more of the video side for the Panasonic S1, I do want to mention that honestly I made a mistake. You can definitely change the screen so it doesn't auto expose when you're trying to take a photo. So I did make a mistake on that. You can definitely fix it. So now overall it is a great camera, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. And before anything, I do want to mention I'm not sponsored by Panasonic, nor will I think I ever be. It'd be dope though if you guys are watching this to go ahead and sponsor me. Panasonic is such an underrated camera, and obviously for the most part we know that they only came out with micro four thirds cameras, and this is their first full frame lineup. I just think it's like the best hybrid camera, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. First off, it has 24, I was making sure I was recording, but it has 24 megapixels. So that is a big thumbs up. Honestly, 24 megapixels is more than enough nowadays. I'm gonna show you guys right now 2 photos that I took. As you guys can see, those are 2 completely sharp images. One was cropped, one was at full 100%, and you see no resolution loss. The quality was just sharp. It was awesome. It looks good. Like, I was shocked. I shot with the Panasonic S1 before for small little jobs, but it was nothing like this where there was a lot of running, there was a lot of rain. This camera withstood it all. And talking about the running and whatnot, hold on one second. Computer turned off, so alright, there you go. Just had to get a little light coming from the side, but there was a lot of running. So I had to test the Panasonic S1 with a lot of movement, a lot of cranking, a lot of just shooting, and it was hard because a lot of people, including myself, fear the autofocus on this camera because Panasonic has never been known for autofocus, and it overachieved in my expectations. It's definitely, for photos at least, the autofocus, it's awesome, it's great, and I'm gonna show you guys photos here. So in this trip, we had to take photos of everything that Nike was doing within this trip, and we had people running, as you guys can see, and everything that was shot when they were running was perfectly focused. Everything was just sharp. Yeah, there was here and there where shots were missed because it did get out of focus, but for the most part it definitely captured everything. There was never a time where I was like, man, I wish I had my Canon EOS R, or you know, for a lot of Sony users, Sony has a great autofocus system, but there was never a point where I wished I had that camera. This camera handles it, and so I will say for weddings, for sports, for all that, this camera can keep up. Another thing is the frame rate. I think it shoots 8 to 9 frame rates per second, which is really fast. Not the smallest, but honestly I like the feel to the hands. It just feels great. Feels like the autofocus is great, and that's with the adapter, so it's not even native glass. Another thing that is awesome on this camera is the electronic viewfinder. You can see everything perfectly. You can see if you know you have your subject in focus. It helps you with so much, and I honestly think right now as we're speaking, which is July 29th, it has the best overall electronic viewfinder, and you guys can search it up. I honestly think it is. The touchscreen on the camera is awesome. It's really good as well. It's responsive. You can tap where you want focus and it's gonna focus. The one thing I will say is all the photos that you guys saw, I did change the autofocus setting to let me check real quick. So the autofocus setting that I had it under the autofocus mode, it's called the one area autofocus. And that, to me, I've always had it on my Canon, and I use it on the same thing on this Panasonic S1. And the reason for that is because no matter where you pinpoint that little square, that subject or whatever it is that you're focused on is going to be in focus. It's very reliable. I call it, it's the one area autofocus mode. So if you guys are curious for all these photos that you guys are going to see, that's the setting that I have it on. I don't really like to rely on the tracking, or let's say the face, eye, body. I mean, it has all these different autofocus modes, but for me it's just the one area. It's not the one area plus, by the way, it's the one area, just so you guys know. So every photo that you guys are gonna see, it was all shot in that autofocus setting, and it was reliable. I never had to worry about whether the subject, the runners, or whatever I was shooting was in focus or not. So Just so you guys know, that was a setting, and I'm not BSing anything. It shocked me. I did not know this camera was that great for photos. Another great thing about this camera is, obviously we know it already has, as I mentioned on the previous video, it has great IBIS. So with having a great IBIS camera, you can drop the shutter pretty low and you can take a photo, and for the most part it's gonna be sharp, it's not gonna be blurry. For example, this photo you guys are watching, as you guys can see on the right top corner, I shot it at 12,800 ISO, shutter 60, and the photo is sharp. I was shocked myself. This camera is not just great in terms of capturing images, still images really good, but the low light on this camera is outstanding. 12,800 for photos. Now for video, we understand it's better than that. Same thing for Sony. For video, it's the best obviously. But when it comes to the photo side, I have tested the Canon EOS R, which I'm shooting with right now for photos. The most I've been able to achieve with it at usable is 6,000 ISO. For Sony, like 4,000 ISO was at max for photos. I have never seen a photo camera that looks good with very little grain in 12,800 ISO be usable. So for you wedding photographers like myself that I shoot at times, it's gonna help out a lot. You don't need flash, you're able to get a lot of things. Now keep in mind, obviously, if you're gonna shoot in motion, you might not want the shutter at 60, you might want it at 150, but the fact that you can boost it up to 12,800, that's a game changer. That's something awesome that, you know, I'm happy to be able to have in my hands, because I've never had a camera that can take photos in such a low light environment and look that great. Most of the time it's video that I've had cameras that, you know, can withstand low light, but photos, for some reason, it's different than video. But this is the first photo camera for me personally that I think it's great for low light. And you know, many of us will say differently. I'm not really a pixel peeper. A lot of you guys are, so I am gonna pixel peep this image for you guys. As you guys can see here, there is no grain, very little. I might say it's maybe 20% grain, which is not bad. We all, I guess, can say we all have different opinions. You guys can say it's bad. I will say it's not. I will say it's usable. But just know the Panasonic S1 low light wise, it is a beast for video and photo. The fact that this camera has 4K 60 slow motion and it has a great photo, like, you have it all. The only thing it's missing is autofocus in video. This camera gives you quality, gives you extreme good low light. It gives you the best in-body stabilization. I don't know if I say it right. In-body instability. IBIS. We're gonna go with IBIS. It has the best IBIS in the market right now. It's the build of it is just amazing. And another thing that I just remembered to talk about was it was raining where we were at, so this camera was able to hold up in the rain. And I'm talking about it was pouring. As you guys can see the photos here, it was pouring. You guys probably can't tell too much with the photos, but it was raining hard and we were running around everywhere taking photos of the runners and whatnot, and it held up. Never have to worry about, oh, you know, it's gonna get messed up. I don't know if it has weather sealing or not, but it was able to handle the rain. I didn't even look into it whether it had weather seal or not, but for the fact that I just tried it and nothing happened to the camera, that's great to know. That's pretty much it, guys. Overall, this trip was fun. I was able to enjoy 4 days. I went out, but now I gotta get ready and start getting all my equipment ready, because I'm gonna head out to New York for a few more shoots. But when I'm back, I hope to provide a little bit more. If you guys like this video, please leave it a like, that will help, and also subscribe. Leave a comment if you guys have any further questions, and that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Lucky, lucky, lucky me, I won, got it done. Lucky, lucky, lucky me, lucky, lucky, lucky.